way I try to bring you information you need to be successful on social media. For those of you who don't know who I am, of course, my name is Reverend Dr. Danielle Patterson Winningham. I'm a former JP Morgan Chase Vice President, Master Life and Master Business Coach. And I've been on social media for about 8 years from a business perspective, which is about 80 years in dog years, right? Because we all know that in the last 8 years, technology has grown by leaps and bounds. And over those 8 years, I've learned a lot of things, especially running my business from the vantage point of first being a corporate employee and working to build my business part-time, also building my business, being a single mother of three, and just having this massive, heavy lift as it related to time management. And one of the reasons that my brand, my firm earns so much now is because we've had to overcome those particular obstacles in order to be successful. So today, we're going to be talking about 7 reasons women must have startup capital in order to be competitive in today's digital marketplace. I firmly believe, my firm firmly believes, it is our mission to empower as many people, and especially women, as possible to be successful in the digital marketplace. I'm a firm believer that social media and digital marketing truly levels the playing field as it relates to women. I can run my business from home. I can run my business while I'm with the kids. I have the flexibility of running my business from anywhere in the world. That means I can go to my kids' practice and still be tied into my business. That means I can go to camp with my kids and still be tied into my business. I can go to basketball games and football games with my kids and still be somewhat tied into my business. So that level of flexibility was not necessarily available prior to the advent of social media and technology. If you had a brick and mortar before, you had to literally man that brick and mortar, which meant time away from the family. So because social media and technology levels the playing field, I think it's an amazing opportunity for women to be able to get out there and compete. That being said, we can't show up empty-handed. We cannot show up empty-handed because technology and the competition that exists nowadays requires that you show up ready to play. A few years ago, you could get you a couple of graphics and be okay. You could drive traffic to Shopify or Etsy and be okay. But now, if you really, really, really want to compete in this digital marketplace, you've got to show up with some capital. My team has actually developed a program to help women with their startup capital that not only includes financing for their strategy, because prior to that, me being a master life and master business coach, prior to that, I would give women the strategy, but they couldn't necessarily afford the technology. So now my team has come up with a process where we can finance not just the strategy, but the technology as well, making them more competitive. So our startup capital package, if you're interested, the link is bit.ly/fundme2. Make sure you complete your application at bit.ly/fundme2, and someone on my team will get back to you if you're qualified. Now, that being said, let's talk about why you must have that startup capital. Number one, the competition is deep. You're not only competing with Sally down the street, you're competing with Nike and ESPN and McDonald's and Starbucks and all these major conglomerates for the consumer dollar. And one of the reasons that social media and technology has leveled the playing field is because now you can film videos with your iPhone 11. You have all of these free platforms that you can use to market your products and services literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, without the knowledge to do so successfully, it is like giving a bulldozer and a jackhammer to a 2-year-old. They don't have the power to use it. They don't have the knowledge to use it. They don't have the strength to use it. And so because competition is what it is, and I'm not even talking about competition on a small business level. I'm talking about everybody competing online. And we are still at the beginning. 5 years from now, I can't even imagine what online competition is going to look like. You have to have the startup capital to show up so that you can look the part. You've got to look credible. You can't keep doing things yourself, and you may be the consummate expert in that area, but with the social media moving as fast as it moves, if you don't always look credible, then people go to the next person. People have yet to realize that things that just because it glitters doesn't mean it's gold. And so they're looking for glittery, kumbaya feels when they go to your website. And if they don't get it, they may go to somebody else. So in order for you to remain competitive in this fast moving, judge a book by its cover, 6 seconds to impress social media and technology world, you've got to have startup capital. You can't keep doing things yourself. You must hire professionals. Number 2 is technology. That is another reason women need startup capital. All of the automation we need to be successful and to be able to run our businesses while we run our families, while we run our lives, while we support our husbands is available. But if you don't have the capital to invest in that technology, it's almost like saying, it's almost like water in a desert. It exists. We know there's a lot of it. We just don't have it. And so as women, we have to make sure that we not only seek the capital we need to be competitive, but that we leverage that technology. We leverage that automation. We let the systems work for us because, we're superwoman. Yes. Got my cape, got my tights. Yes. But even super women break down. And what happens in that day that you can't do it yourself? What happens in that day that you can't make it happen? You can't send those emails. There's automation for that. But if we don't leverage the technology that is available, spend the money, get the automation, leverage the technology, then our business and our revenue is going to have ebbs and flows along with the inconsistency in which we operate. So that's another reason women need startup capital. So again, if you're interested in our startup capital program, go to bit.ly/fund me, the number 2, and put in your application. Another reason women need startup capital is because, good morning, Cheryl, because we are behind on the knowledge of money, period. See, let me tell you something about women and all of the thousands of women that I've coached over the years. Yes, plural, women's that I've coached over the years. There is one common denominator. I don't have to teach women how to show up. I don't have to teach them how to share. I don't have to teach them how to serve. Contrary to Hollywood and what Hollywood would have you believe, the majority of women would give you the shirt off their back. There are very few women that actually backbite if they do their hurt and they got their own self-esteem issues. But as it relates to women in general and their ability to show up, women will help you and not require a fee for it, which is a problem. So the majority of the women that I coach, I don't have to coach them about serving. They overserve. They just undercharge. And so without the capital, in order to be able to invest in the knowledge on how to set their prices, how to command higher fees, how to show their value, how not to be intimidated or worried about what people say or think about their pricing, most women continue to undercharge. I remember a book I read. I'm trying to think of the name of the book. I think it was called Living Big by Pam Grout or something like that. And in the book, she talked about a woman who owned a jewelry store. And the jewelry was moderately priced, underpriced, moderately priced, as women tend to do. So the woman went on vacation and left her staff with instructions on running a promotion while she was out. Well, the staff misunderstood the instructions and marked everything up 33% instead of marking everything down 33%. Somebody tell me what you think happened. I'm going to repeat that. She went on vacation. She left the staff instructions. She said, you know, here are the instructions. They misread the instructions. And instead, they marked everything up 33%. Somebody tell me what you think happened. The opposite of what you think happened. They sold everything. They doubled and tripled her sales. See, what you guys fail to realize is that sometimes your underpricing and undervalue is turning people off because they increased her prices. It made it seem more upper echelon. Think about the environment you're living in, guys. People want exclusive. People want to pay $5 and $6 for a bottle of water. People want to pay tens of thousands of dollars for Louis Vuitton luggage. You got women walking around with more money on their arm than a used car. And we're not talking about just the Kim Kardashians and the celebrities. We're talking about basic everyday women. I know women that catch the bus that have $3,000 and $4,000 purses. If you add all of those purses together, you could have bought you a little piece of hoodoo to get from here to there. So we're talking about a society that prides itself in spending too much for stuff. So when they marked her prices up and people came in and said, oh, this costs more than James Avery. Oh, this costs more than the Silver Exchange. Oh, I must. Now, again, as women, I don't have to teach you how to show up. So I'm sure her store was very nice. I'm sure they had very nice ambience. I'm sure it looked like a high-end store. Her prices just didn't dictate that. And in nowadays society, if something is too cheap, what does it do to people? Somebody tell me. It sets off a red flag. It sets off an alarm. When you say, oh, that's all they want for that? Girl, that's too cheap. No, nobody wants that. And again, guys, if you haven't shared this broadcast, make sure you share the broadcast. Welcome to the Seriously Social morning show about all things social media. But today we're talking about 7 reasons why women must have startup capital in order to compete, right? Right. Melissa said they think it's fake. They think it's something wrong with it. They think there's a quote unquote catch. And so you have to be very careful skirting the line of a great value and something that turns people off. So again, if you're interested in my team's Startup Capital for Women program, go to bit.ly/fundme2. We not only provide you with the knowledge and the strategy, we also provide you with the technology and the things that you need to make sure you're super successful in your business. So as women, we need that startup capital, not just for knowledge, but for things like pricing, to help set our prices, to help with our profit planning, to do the things that as women we hate to do. We avoid those things because we're not good at them. Number 4, you need the startup capital for social media strategy. There's going to come a day, mark my words, That Facebook Live may not be free. Periscope may not be free. Instagram Live may not be free. I'm sure somewhere on paper, there is a plan. Do you agree with me or not? Let me know in the chat if you agree with me or not. I'm sure somewhere on paper, there is a plan to start monetizing these live stream platforms as soon as they become the norm. I don't know how they're going to charge you a nickel a minute. I don't know. Remember long distance phone bills. Long distance has gotten so that it's virtually free, but it didn't start like that. When the telephone started as a novelty, it was free. Then they started charging more and more if you wanted to call nationally or call internationally. Do y'all remember how big your phone bill used to be? If you had some loved ones in another city or state, they would run your phone bill through the roof. So that's your choice, B Queen XOXX. But you gotta have a social media strategy to take advantage of all of the free tools that you have available right now. And when you don't have a strategy, you just end up showing up on social media and not necessarily generating any revenue. So you're just here. I did a poll the other day where I polled about 100 people. Well, really, by the time I was over, I polled like 1,000 people. And I asked them, what is your rating of yourself on social media from 1 to 100? Oh, they started saying 80s and 90s. And I started to go and look for all of the engagement that they should have, all of the clients that they should have, all of the things that would show you they are an 80 or a 90, and it didn't exist. Which begged the question, what do people feel is real success on social media? And obviously it's not money. Obviously it's not engagement. Obviously it's not followers, because they didn't have a lot of followers. And so when it boiled down to it, there was a whole lot of people saying, I'm great at it, but they didn't have great results. And so if you really want great results, then you definitely need a strategy or spend the time figuring it out. And as women, sometimes we don't have that time. We got our man, we got our kids, we got all this stuff going on. We don't necessarily have that time. Another reason women need backup capital, startup capital. We got ladies. We've got to have a backup plan. We've got to have a team. Let me tell you something. There's not a woman that I haven't run into in the last few years who was running her business as a solo CEO. She was the admin. She was the web developer. She was social media. She was everything. How many of you is that? She was all these things. And the day that she couldn't do it, her business went to the bottom of the pile and she had to start over again. So let's just face it, women, things happen. Things happen to you in life. Things happen to you in business where you just can't be Superwoman every day. You know, I was like that when my mom passed. Had I not had a team, I wouldn't have been able to keep going. When you don't have startup capital, you can't get to that place where you can hire a team quickly. And it is imperative. So what I see a lot of women doing is starting and stopping. Starting and stopping. We start, then we have an emergency in our relationship, so we stop. We start, and then we have an emergency with our family members, so we stop. We start, and all of those ebbs and flows not only makes for inconsistent growth in your business, It also makes for inconsistent revenue. And if you're not careful, if you're not very, very careful with the starting and stopping, you'll end up on this weird transition from full-time employee to full-time entrepreneur for far long than is reasonable. It is a tiring existence. I did it for 3 years. I worked my full-time job. I worked my full-time business. And in between, I cooked dinners and did homework and managed the kids. And it was tiring. I wanted to get off of that hamster wheel as soon as possible. And if more startup capital would have been available to me, and I knew how to go and get the money I needed for the strategy and the technology and the things that I needed to do to grow my brand faster, I'd even be beyond where I am right now. So as women, we got to understand it's not cute or profitable to be a solo CEO in your business. You must hire wise counsel and you must get help. And with that being said, you got to have a backup plan and you got to have a team. What if the train jumps the tracks today? What will I do? Number 6, you got to have support. What does that look like? The majority of women don't have anybody to call on if they need help. If they just need an ear, they just need somebody to talk to. If they need wise advice, if they need legal advice, if they need accounting advice, who do they call? Because they don't have this support system. See, when I talked before about the team, that's your internal team, but you need an external team too. You can't be the tax lady and the bookkeeper and client acquisition and the sales manager and the operations manager without losing your mind. You can't. And so it's up to you to make sure that you not only fill those positions, but you get the capital so that you can get these things done correctly. All of those things are critical to your business. You don't want your books wrong. You don't want your taxes wrong. You want to hire experts, and you can't do that without capital. So make sure you go to bit.ly/fundme2 and apply for our new startup capital program for women so that you can have an affordable way to get all of the things you need in one place, which brings me to number 7 is scale. Forbes said that only, let me get it right, that while 50% of all businesses are created by women, 25% of them fail to scale beyond $50,000 a year. Do you know that only 4% of women do what I've done, and that's generate $1 million in their business a year? 4%. I don't know about y'all, but I think you guys are smarter than that. I don't know about y'all, but I see y'all generating money at those jobs. I know I've generated multiple millions of dollars a year at my corporate job. And so that begs the question that if you could do it for everybody else, why can't you do it for you? And who's holding you accountable for utilizing your gifts and your talents to make money for yourself? I talked about this in my Sunday school / Bible study class last night. And I asked them, why not you? Why not you, the multimillionaire? Why not you with a global company? Why not you with a name, easily recognizable brand? Why not you? And the truth of the matter is that women associate their worth and their history with success. And one has nothing to do with your business success. And so until you get some help and support to help you fight, those conversations that are happening in your head, you're going to stay small instead of playing big. And I can promise you, it takes the same energy and effort to play small as it does to play it all. So if you're going to play, why not play big? And you need somebody to help you with the knowledge and the strategy, and then also the push to get out there. What it boils down to, guys, is seed and harvest. You have to spend money to make money. And if you don't have the money to spend, you waiting to today, tomorrow, this and that, that's not going to help. And you're going to end up nickel and diming yourself when you could have gotten the capital, paid it back, and been on your way in your business. At some point, you've got to trust in your ability to execute the plan that you're given. But you got to have a plan. So again, if you're interested in the Startup Capital Program that me and my firm created, go to bit.ly/fund me, the number 2. You've got to, if you want to play in this game, you can't keep coming to the game with no shirt on. This ain't skins and shirts. This is business. So if it's a golf game, you got to have clubs, cart, what's it called? A jockey to carry your stuff around. If you come to be competitive, you've got to have the things that you need to compete. If you're not worried about being competitive, you're okay. But if you really want to show up and compete, you've got to invest. You've got to look for sources of startup capital and funding, and you got to get started now. bit.ly/fund me, the number 2. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back shortly with the Build Your Online Business morning show. I'll talk to you guys later.